Hi, and welcome to our channel. I'm Charlie,
I'm Shayna.
and we are the Straw Hat Duo.
In today's video, we'll be reviewing and comparing between episodes 1 and 2 of One Piece and the manga chapters that correspond to that, which are chapters 1 through 5.
Chapter 1 isn't covered in the first two episodes at all, but it is the first chapter, so we can't exactly skip that. So, first, we'll be going over what happens in episodes 1 and 2.
So, in the first episode, it starts the scene with a whirlpool, and then you see a barrel, and the barrel's fished out from the passenger ship, and then they see a pirate ship in the distance, and it's Iron Club Alvida's ship, and you see her speaking with Koby, and then a little bit after that, you see Nami zipline down to her ship, for whatever reason. And Koby finds the barrel and pushes it towards his fellow crewmates. And they're like, oh, great, you found some booze. We can have it. Alvida will never know. And
Pirates love their booze.
right? And Kobe's like, oh, okay, I won't tell. And then pop, out comes Luffy, and he knocks out one of the pirates. He's like, wow, it was such a great sleep. And everybody's jaws on the floor, and they try to attack him, and it doesn't work because later you find out he's a rubber man, so not much, harms him. And then him and Koby walk off, and they find food, and then they get to talking, and Luffy is like, well, Koby, how did you even get here? And he's like, well, I went out fishing and bumped into a pirate ship. 2 years later, I'm still here. He's like, wow, what an idiot. And Kobe's like, well, what are you doing on the sea, Luffy? What is your goal? And he's like, I want to be king of the pirates. And he's like, wait, what? Do you know what that means? That means you're going to have the whole world, great treasures, wealth and fame and power. And are you after the One Piece? And he's like, yep, sure am. And he's like, and if I happen to die trying, then that's so be it. That's what, comes with the territory.
Pretty much.
And then they bump into Alvida, and she starts, talking her talk, and she's like, Koby, who's the fairest? And he didn't really speak, and Luffy's like, who's this fat lady? Who's this over here? What is she doing? And her jaw drops, everybody's jaw drop, and she tries to attack him, doesn't work, and he runs off with Koby, and they get onto a little dinghy or passenger ship, and they're off to the island where Zoro is, and they have a talk about him on the little dinghy. And Luffy's like, well, if Zoro's such a good guy, then I'm gonna ask him to be a part of my crew. And Kobe's like, well, he's locked up by the Navy. That I don't think he's a good guy. And he's like, well, we'll see. And they sail off, and that's about the end of episode 1.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny in episode 1 how it kind of shows off Luffy's power. He beats Alvida in one single hit, really.
Yeah.
And now for episode 2.
So episode 2 starts out with Koby and Luffy still pretty much on the way to the island where Zoro is. And Koby, gets talking to Luffy more, and he's like, Zoro's a pirate hunter. This man has chopped up his enemies for bounties. He's bloodthirsty. He's a beast. He's a demon, but in human form. And Luffy and Koby eventually show up to the island. And Luffy's like, wow, you're so great. I can't believe you got us here. And he's like, that's basic,
To be out on the sea.
yeah, on the sea, you have to at least know where you're going. He goes, you're going to need a navigator, Luffy. He's like, yeah, I'll get one of those too. And they go get something to eat. But as they're walking through the town, they spoke with Zoro, and all the townspeople are like, oh my gosh, they're so scared. They're like, yeah, whatever, that's weird. but you know we can kind of understand it because Zoro's not a good guy from what is being
Yeah,
told.
he's locked up.
Yep. And then Kobe speaks of Captain Morgan, and the townspeople do the same thing. They're like, "Wait, what?" They're terrified. He goes, "That's odd,"
It's a little
but
sketchy.
you know. And they go get something to eat, and then they leave, and they get to the yard where Zoro is, and Luffy's like poking his head out and goes, let me find this guy. Where is he? Where is this beast that everybody talks of?" And he's just tied up in the middle of this yard.
The guitar riff that they play when they show him, it's insane.
It's crazy. And then they see him, and the guy's Zoro's like, "Get lost, get out of here. You know, I don't need you guys. Just go." And a little girl just comes, you know, running up, jumps the fence, goes in. Here you go, Zoro. Here's some rice ball. I made them with sugar so they'd be nice and sweet. And he goes, "Get lost, kid. Like, you know, you're
Yeah.
asking for a death wish for being here,
Yeah.
so you need to go." Then Captain Morgan's son shows up, Helmeppo, and what a great name, right?
Yeah, he's so annoying too.
Yeah, and he takes one of the rice balls, you know, starts to eat it, spits it everywhere, and goes, "Oh my God, kid, you're stupid. This is too sweet. This wasn't made right." She's like, "I was just trying to make it sweeter, you know." And then Helmeppo's like, "Get her out of here," and tells one of his Navy guys to just toss her over the fence. And they're like, "But sir, it's a kid." Tosses her, Luffy catches her, they roll. You know, it's great. She's fine. And then Luffy goes to talk with Zoro and explains that he needs to survive the whole month. And Luffy's like, "I couldn't do that." But Luffy's like, "Yeah, I just couldn't go that long without food, you know?"
Yeah.
And then flashback, there's like a small flashback of Zoro's past, and very like limited. There's him and
Does it show Kuina?
I think just a little bit,
Mm.
but like it's such a slight thing. And then you know goes on, and you see Nami again. She just kind of shows up in the shot all over again. And Helmeppo speaks of executing Zoro. After that, or a while after that, Luffy was like, "You know what? I'm gonna ask him to join my crew. That's it." And so he does, but he's sly about it. He goes down and he's like, "So where's your swords?" And Zoro's like, "Well, they took them, you know." And he goes, "Well, I'll go get your swords, but you're gonna join my crew." And he's like, "Wait, no, wait, what?" And they run off, and he's like, "What a stupid kid. It's never gonna work." And he, walks in, and there's no one around, and then he hears some noise up top, and he comes
Rocket.
all the way up, knock over the giant statue that Captain Morgan had all of his people pulling up with the rope, and that pissed him off. So he, tried to kill him. That didn't work. So he tries to go for Luffy. He grabs Helmeppo and he runs, and he ends up finding Zoro's swords. He goes, "There's 3. Which one's his?" But Helmeppo's passed out because Luffy's been running around with him like crazy.
Yeah, and
So
Helmeppo's a bit of a wimp.
I think a bit is an understatement. I'm pretty sure he's just a big, big baby. And Luffy finds the swords, brings them back. But before he does, he sees Kobe and Zoro he sees Kobe trying to untie Zoro, and he goes, "Oh, crap." So he rockets to the yard, and then he stands in front of all the bullets and does nothing because they just bounce right off of him and go right towards all the Navy. And
Yeah, Kobe and Zoro are pretty shocked at that one.
and then it ends with him just being like, "Zoro, I'm going to be king of the pirates." And
It's the end of episode 2.
yep, we'll go over what happens in chapters 1 through 5.
So I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. Chapter 1 is quite long. So
Oh, yeah.
the manga starts out how most of the early episodes start out. Gold Roger on an execution platform about to be executed. He speaks out and tells the world if they want to find his treasure, they'll have to go search the world for it, thus beginning the golden age of piracy. The story of Luffy, however, begins with him on the figurehead of Shanks' ship. He gets the attention of the crew before trying to prove his bravery by stabbing himself below the eye. Needless to say, the crew were pretty shocked with this. After that, you jump into town where Shanks raises a toast to Luffy's courage. Luffy declares that he wants to be a pirate and wants to go with Shanks. Shanks refuses and mocks him a bit. A little way into the banter, we are introduced to the lady running the tavern. They're all in Makino.
Luffy just really wanted to just be like, I'm not a kid I'm not a kid.
Right?
I'm a grown up. I'm just gonna go with you.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Shortly after that, mountain bandits come in, cause a bit of a scene. They antagonize Shanks and his crew a bit, but Shanks doesn't fight them because he just doesn't feel it's worth it.
It's not though.
Yeah. During the commotion, Luffy finds the fruit that Shanks and his crew have stolen from an enemy ship. The enemy is revealed about 1,000 chapters later, and it's a bit surprising. Luffy finds out that after eating the fruit, his body stretches, and he's now a rubber boy that'll never be able to swim again as a side effect. After the bandits leave, Luffy gets mad and storms out because Shanks didn't stand up for himself. It jumps later to an undefined amount of time later, where Luffy is strolling through town to buy some fish. This is where you first are introduced to his
Mayor.
name. Mayor, yeah, the Mayor, Whoop Slap, who, with a little help from Grand Line Review, managed to get to rank, 37? Yeah, 37 in the fan polling, popularity poll. Whoop Slap yells at Luffy, telling him that he's going to make the town look bad if he becomes a pirate.
Jeez.
It then jumps again to another undefined amount of time later, and Luffy is back with Makino drinking some juice in the tavern. The mountain bandits show back up, and, well, they start talking about Shanks a bit. This sets Luffy off, and we jump a little bit later to Makino running to the mayor to try and get help for Luffy.
Mm-mm.
Turns out Luffy has been beaten up by the bandits for a while. Mayor pleads a little bit, then finally Shanks shows up, wondering why nobody was seeing him off. After that, we see the mountain bandits kind of start talking, to the
Crap, yeah.
crew, and one of them pulls a gun on Shanks. That's where you first see somebody get killed in this manga. The person who pulled the gun on Shanks, Lucky Roo, shoots before he could do anything about it. After that, Ben Beckman decides to, take on the rest of the crew by himself, pretty much, with the blunt end of his rifle, not even the...
But isn't that odd, though, because...
Yasop.
Yasop
Oh, yeah,
is
Yasop.
the one that's the sniper of the crew?
Yeah, he's pictured here, but he doesn't have a gun on him at all. It's a little odd. So, at this point, the leader of the bandits, Higuma, gets a little, scared, uses a smoke bomb, and kidnaps Luffy, Luffy, and tries to escape out to sea. He thinks that nobody's going to look for a mountain bandit out on the sea.
Jeez.
After he, brags a little bit, he kicks Luffy overboard because he doesn't need him anymore, and the Lord of the Coast, Sea King, eats the boat with Higuma on it, killing him, making him pretty much gone.
Yeah, fish food.
So after that, Shanks shows up, scares off the Sea King with just a look, after, losing an arm to him. Luffy, is a little upset because, Shanks gave up an arm to save him.
I was going to say, you can't blame him. He's no matter what, he was still a kid at that point, and
Yeah.
that's kind of traumatic.
Yeah, and Shanks is like, it's no big deal. As long as you're good, I'm not too worried about it. It's a small price to pay for you being okay.
Right?
After that, Luffy understood why Shanks couldn't take him and stopped asking him. Instead, he declares that he'll grow up and become a pirate that has a crew better than Shanks's, and he's going to be king of the pirates. Shanks gives a smile and puts his hat on Luffy's head, asking him to keep it safe for him, showing where Luffy got his soon-to-be-famous straw hat. Before leaving, Shanks tells Luffy, "Promise you'll keep that safe for me, and bring it back to me when you become a great pirate." He says quietly to Ben Beckman the second mate or the first mate of the crew,
Mm-hmm.
Luffy's gonna make something of himself. He acts like I did as a kid. There's then a 10-year time skip to where Luffy is now setting out to sea in a little dinghy. The town is seeing him off, including Makino and Whoop Slap, and the Lord of the Coast appears from underwater right in front of his boat. The townspeople freak out a little bit, and Luffy just kind of smiles and says, "I've been waiting for this day," and knocks it out in a single punch. Then he declares that he's going to be gathering a crew. About 10 people should do it. I'm going to be king of the pirates. That pretty much ends out chapter 1. By far the longest chapter here.
Chapter 2. They call him Straw Hat Luffy.
So, chapter 2 starts out with Luffy and his dinghy laughing about how the weather's so nice. Who'd have thought it would end with disaster so early? Then you cut over to a whirlpool sucking his ship in. He talks to himself for a while, deciding even if he could swim, he'd never survive this anyways.
No.
It then cuts later to a uncharted island where there's a pirate ship docked. You find out that it's Alvida's ship, and this is where they're bunkering down. She's a rather large lady and very cruel to her crew. This is where you meet Kobe for the first time. He's on shore rolling a barrel that washed up inside. Everyone thinks that it's booze and wants to open it up to drink it.
Wouldn't you know the weight difference, though, between a body and booze?
You know, he's a rubber man.
True.
So, everybody thinks it's booze. He tries to. They want to open it up, drink it, and Luffy pops out, surprising everybody and knocking one of the guys out by accident.
Jesus.
Luffy yells out, "What a great nap!" And Alvida hears that, and comes through the wall, attacking her crew, thinking that it was her own men. Luffy ends up being knocked away without Alvida noticing, and the crew speculates, thinking that he's a bounty hunter after her head. This is the first time you hear of Zoro, who in the manga is sometimes translated as Zolo, and that's just a Japanese translation to English. It's the letters are similar to each other, so there's not a separation of letters. I don't know Japanese, so I don't know the exact reason. Luffy and Kobe talk for a bit before being interrupted by Alvida and her men. Luffy insults her in front of everyone, and everybody is pretty surprised, including Kobe. Kobe then decides, you know what, I'm going to stand up to Alvida. And he stands up, calls her a bunch of names, and Alvida wants to attack him.
Yeah,
Luffy...
He immediately regrets it, though. You can see it.
Oh, yeah. Kobe is terrified.
Yeah.
Luffy kind of smiles and stands in front, takes the hit that she was aiming at Kobe, and because it was with her giant club and he's a rubber man, it does nothing.
Yeah.
Luffy then decides to use his Gum Gum pistol, the same move he used on the Sea King, to punch her and knock her out in a single hit. He tells her crew to give him and Kobe a dinghy, and they set back out to sea, searching for Zoro at that point. And that pretty much ends chapter 2.
Yep.
A pretty quick chapter comparatively to the first one.
Oh, yeah. Chapter 3. Enter Zolo Pirate Hunter.
The chapter starts out with Luffy and Kobe on a dinghy talking about Zoro. Kobe tells Luffy that he is described as a demonic beast. Luffy decides he wants to see if Zoro would be a good crew member. Kobe tries to sway his opinion, but Luffy doesn't really care.
I don't think he really does, though.
No. They finally arrive at the naval base with Kobe navigating. He tells Luffy that he needs to find a navigator because Luffy is terrible.
And Luffy was so excited that Kobe got him there. He was like, "You're so great."
Right? And he said, "You need to get a navigator if you want to be a real pirate."
Right?
They head off to a restaurant to eat. They chat for a while before Luffy mentions Zoro's name, and everybody around them jumps for cover.
Crazy.
Kobe says, we probably shouldn't say his name. I hear Captain Morgan is at the base, and everybody jumps for cover again. Luffy finds this hilarious. Kobe's just kind of confused.
Yeah, Luffy's just over there like, nah, these people are weird.
These people are fun.
Yeah.
They get to the naval base, and Luffy tells Kobe to head on in so he can apply to be a Navy officer.
Oh, God.
He climbs the wall to take a look. Luffy freaks out and tells Luffy they wouldn't just hold a demon out in the open. You now get to see a silhouette of Zolo. Kobe gets scared as Luffy is just intrigued. Zolo spots them and asks them to come untie him. He's been out there for 9 days and just can't take it anymore.
Right.
He'll pay them once he gets another bounty. A little girl then shows up and runs towards Zolo with some food for him. He tries to scare off the girl, but she is caught by Helmeppo, Captain Morgan's son. This is the first time you see him in the manga. He takes the food that the little girl made for Zolo and eats it. It's terrible, and he tells another guard to throw her over the wall after stomping the food into the dirt. Luffy catches the girl, then goes in after Helmeppo leaves. Luffy tells Zoro that he's looking for people to join his crew. And Zolo preemptively goes, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Right. He's like, you're crazy, kid. Sorry.
He says either way, he promised to be set free in about a month. Before Luffy leaves, Zolo asks him to pick up the food and feed it to him. Luffy, even though it's covered in dirt, he tells Luffy to tell the little girl that it tasted good. Which is showing that Zoro actually has a good heart to him.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's like that turning point where you go, demon? Maybe. Good guy?
Yeah,
maybe
probably.
too, you know?
Luffy tells the girl, and she's delighted. They then find out that Zolo was jailed for protecting the villagers from Helmeppo's wild dog, which is more like a wolf in all reality.
I know, right?
They are told that Captain Morgan and his son are bad people. They then overhear Helmeppo saying that he will hold a public execution for Zolo in 3 days. Luffy gets mad because Helmeppo is going back on his word and punches him, declaring that he will now ask Zolo to join his crew.
And it's crazy because he just met him and he's like, but you didn't honor your word. That's it. I'm done. And then knocks him out.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of Chapter 3.
Chapter 4, The Great Captain Morgan.
So Chapter 4 starts out right where Chapter 3 ended off. Kobe trying to hold Luffy back from attacking Helmeppo more. Helmeppo declares that he's telling his daddy what happens and runs off. The little girl Rika goes inside with her mother at this point, and Luffy nonchalantly walks back to the parade ground where they're holding Zoro. You then get to see Captain Morgan for the first time when Helmeppo tells him that he wants him to kill Luffy. You jump back to Luffy in the parade ground talking to Zolo, who immediately refuses to join his crew again. Luffy says, I'll untie you if you join my crew. Zolo at this point is pretty agitating.
Right.
They argue for a little bit, and Luffy tells him that he's decided already Zolo will be joining the crew. Zolo explains his swords are his treasure, but Helmeppo took them. Luffy decides that he'll go in and take the swords, so Zoro has to join his crew.
Because that's the Luffy way to do things.
I mean, that's how pirates do things.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, yeah. They only think about themselves, which is not, terrible.
Yeah.
It benefits them and,
Exactly. And you soon find out that pirates aren't necessarily all the bad guys.
No.
You now see Morgan's full body, and he has an axe for a hand, thus giving him his nickname, Axe Hand Morgan.
Right? Crazy.
So he and Helmeppo argue a little bit before Morgan swats him away. Morgan tells a Marine to kill Rika, who snuck into the parade ground, because it's a violation of his, order.
Oh, yeah.
The guard refuses, so Morgan decides to kill him. He goes on a little monologue and then has them raise a giant statue of himself. Luffy slings himself onto the roof, grabbing the ropes that the Marines are using to pull the statue up, making them drop it by accident, and that angers Morgan. Morgan tells the guards to seize Luffy. Luffy, paying him no mind, grabs Helmeppo and runs off looking for Zolo's swords.
Mhm.
Kobe at this time, that's the same time, sneaks into the parade ground and tries to untie Zolo because, Kobe feels bad. He feels bad that Zoro was lied to.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't want you to join, Luffy, but could you at least help him? Because you both are really powerful.
Yeah. So Kobe is shot in the arm while he's trying to untie it, and that stops him. As Luffy runs through the base with Helmeppo.
Mhm.
And that pretty much ends out Chapter 4. Pretty much on a cliffhanger at that point.
Chapter 5, The King of the Pirates and the Master Swordsman.
So this chapter starts out with Luffy running into some marines with Helmeppo and using him as a human shield so they won't shoot him. It jumps over to Kobe crying on the ground in pain while Zoro is just relieved that he's still alive. Zoro tells Kobe, just run away. He'll survive the month and he'll be fine. Kobe informs him that Helmeppo lied. Kobe tells Zoro that Luffy stood up for him. He punched Helmeppo, and Zoro seems pretty surprised. Kobe pleads with Zoro to help Luffy escape. He doesn't need him to join the crew, or he doesn't necessarily want him to join the crew, but he wants him to at least help him escape.
I mean, having Zolo on your side would probably be a good thing, though.
Oh yeah, and the future of the anime really relies on it.
Exactly.
There's a handful of Zoro moments that you haven't gotten to yet.
No, but even the ones that I did, as far as I've gotten in, are pretty good.
Yeah. So, Luffy finally finds the swords as Helmeppo passes out. He grabs the 3 swords that are there, unsure of which ones are Zolo's, and notices that Zoro and Luffy are in trouble. As Morgan is giving the order to shoot Kobe and Zoro, Zoro has a flashback to when he was a kid. It's a flashback to when he was a kid, and a slightly older girl was at the dojo that they were growing up in. She keeps on beating him 2,000 times to be exact, which is insane.
That's crazy. That's a crazy number.
Yeah. After that, he challenges her to a real fight with real swords and loses for the 2001st time pretty quickly. Now, the girl doesn't, kill him or anything, obviously. He gets frustrated, and you find out that the girl's name is Kuina. And Kuina explains that her dad said that she'd never be a master swordsman due to the fact that she is a girl.
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks. She's all beat up about it, and Zoro's just like, no, you can't be mad about that. You keep beating me.
Why are you mad? You beat me. You are great right now. Who cares if you're a girl,
Yeah. So they then make a promise that one of them will be the world's greatest swordsman, thus showing what Zoro's dream is.
Yeah.
The next day that Zoro is informed that Kuina has died. It was an accident. She fell down the stairs. Zoro's pretty beaten up, and so he goes to her father and says, hey, can I have her sword so he can carry out her will with him? The sensei gives him the sword with pretty much no argument or fight. Zoro proclaims that he will become the world's greatest swordsman, so his name will reach to the heavens to her. It comes back to the present with him thinking, I can't die yet. As the Marines fire, Luffy slings himself in front of the bullets with his Gum Gum rocket move. As the bullets hit him, everyone is surprised. They all think that he's got to be dead. They're even more surprised when the bullets bounce off of him, and Zoro then agrees, you know what? I'll join your crew. It's better than dying. Luffy holds his swords out to him. Little sneak peek to the next chapter. Zoro's still tied up. He can't really do much with his swords until he's untied.
Exactly.
And that pretty much ends chapter 5. Pretty much bringing you up to current with the anime. So chapters 1 through 5 correspond to episodes 1 and 2 with the anime.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's more or less chapters 2 through 5. Honestly.
Yeah, chapter 1 was like a long chapter, but it did give some things.
Yeah, I mean
that happened.
It's a strong start to One Piece.
Yeah, it definitely is a very strong start. Now we're gonna compare the several differences between the anime and the manga.
So first of all, chapter 1 is not covered at all in these episodes, so we're not going to go over that. It's covered a little bit later on in the anime, but we'll tackle that when it comes.
Yeah. The location where Alvida is, in the manga, she has like her own little island.
Yeah, she's on an island that's uncharted.
Yep, and then in the anime, you just see her on the ship. So
Yeah, she's attacking some random ship. That's another thing. Nami is not pictured in the manga at all up to this point.
no.
The first 5 chapters, she does not appear.
Nope, not at all.
But in the anime, she's pictured, pretty early on, like within the first couple minutes of the first episode.
I
I'm
would say
pretty
the
sure.
first couple minutes. But then also the reaction that Zoro or Zolo is given in between the anime and the manga. The anime, he was like, "Get gone."
Yeah,
you know
he's
what I mean?
telling him to get lost.
And in the manga, he was like, "Come on, we'll make it worth your while."
Yeah, he's sitting there trying to bribe him.
Yeah.
So, in the anime, now this may not be a difference. It's just not specified
Yeah.
how time moves in the One Piece world in general.
Right.
But in the anime, he only has 10 days left before his month is up, before his execution, or before he gets set free. Whereas in the manga, he's only been there for 9 days. Now, even in our world, that is possible in some months.
Yeah, right.
But it is, a discrepancy nonetheless.
And then also, kind of going along with what you were just saying, the execution timeline is different.
Yes.
In the anime, it's the next day. In the manga, it's a good 3 days.
Yeah, Helmeppo's just kind of bored, and he's like, maybe I'll just, I'll decide that I'm just going to execute Zoro tomorrow in the anime.
Right.
And in the manga, it's kind of scheduled already. It's
Yeah,
scheduled for 3 days.
it's strict, and he goes, 3 days from now, I'm going to execute Zoro, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. And the last big difference that we noticed between the two is Axehand Morgan, the guard that he sets out to, that he first tells to kill the little girl, Rika.
Yeah.
He hits him with the blunt side of the axe in the anime.
Yep.
But he hits him with the sharp end, showing a bit more blood in the manga.
Yeah.
Now, Helmeppo in both of them does say, hey, you didn't have to kill him.
Yep, and both, like...
It's just a slight difference between the two. Normally, we won't get as nitpicky, but in the anime, it didn't look like he was killed. It looked like he was knocked out.
It just looked like he was knocked unconscious.
So, that could be a big difference between the two.
Yep.
And that pretty much does it for most of the comparisons. Now,
yeah.
obviously, there's some other nitpicky ones that we could probably go over, but...
But also, if anyone notices any other differences, just let us know.
Yeah, most definitely. Let us know in the comments below. I mean, that's definitely we're human. We're gonna miss things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that does it for today's video. We plan on tackling the entire series in the same format, with improvements along the way, obviously.
So if you enjoy our format, please consider subscribing and liking. And if you have any suggestions that you feel would make you enjoy the content more, please let us know and leaving a comment below. We plan on putting out 2 videos a week like this.
And I plan on doing current chapter reviews as they come out on the channel as well. Now that'll be just me because she isn't caught up with the anime as of yet.
No.
As we move forward, obviously once we catch up, then she'll join me for the chapter reviews.
Yep.
But until then, we're going to keep it like this. And thank you for joining us today, and we hope you have a good day.
All right, see ya.
Bye.